It's the smallest of the 7 cities of Hampton Roads, and if you judge only by news reports, the city of Portsmouth suffers from racial division, negative impact of tolls, political infighting, and crime and more crime. But people who live or work in Portsmouth have a different perspective of their city. They are learning lessons from the past and looking forward to a new vision for their home by the Elizabeth River. The new visioning plan is called Build One Portsmouth, Working Together, Shaping Our Future. And our guests today are here to tell us all about it. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Another View is next, so stay tuned.
Discussing today's topics from an African American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Another View. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. So in our political climate today, we recognize that we need to be as educated and as informed as we can locally so that we can make the right decisions for our candidates in office. And in that vein, First Baptist Church, in cooperation with the League of Women Voters of Southampton Roads, Hampton Roads Young Democrats, the New Journaling Guide, Norfolk Federation of Teachers, and the Urban League of Hampton Roads Young Professionals are hosting a statewide candidate forum and straw poll. Now, it's next Thursday, May 25th at 6 p.m. in the auditorium of the Murray Center. That's at 455 East Brambleton Avenue in Norfolk. Professor Quentin Kidd of Christopher Newport University will be the moderator. Currently, the 3 Democratic candidates for Lieutenant Governor have confirmed their attendance. They have not heard from the Republican side yet, but you are invited to attend to meet with the candidates from 6 until 6:30. The forum begins promptly at 6:30 and will be done at 8:15, and written questions from the audience are welcomed and will be allowed as time permits. So seating is on a first-come, first-served basis, so they would like you to RSVP at statewide actually call this number 828-6275. That's 757-828-6275 to ask your questions and make sure that you are registered. So that is next Thursday, May the 25th. So no matter what the topic, politics, race, neighborhoods, tolls, jobs, schools, if it's happening in Portsmouth, it's usually not in a positive way. At least that's what outsiders think. But people who were born and raised in Portsmouth have a business in the city or otherwise an insider know that Portsmouth is a city on the move and it's planning its future. And you can get involved. Joining us to talk about the new visioning plan, Build One Portsmouth, Working Together and Shaping Our Future, is City Councilwoman Lisa Lucas-Burke. How are you, Lisa?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here today.
Thank you. And they were laughing at me in our production meeting because I almost said Louise.
Yes. Well, that's my middle name, so it's okay.
It's either way, right?
It is.
The project manager, Brian Swets. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Good, Barbara. Thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. And also the former Portsmouth Planning Commission Chair, Davy Smith III. Hi, Davy. How you doing?
Great. It's good to see you again.
Good. I'm glad to have all of you all here. I'm excited about this because I've been reading up on exactly what you all are doing in Portsmouth. And I'm going to start with you, Brian. Just give us the basics of what this plan is and what's going on with it right now.
Okay. So as you said, this is an update to our comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan is a city's plan for the future where we look 20 to 30 years down the road. We try to figure out what it is that the citizens want their city to look like, and then we as staff try to come up with the steps to make that vision a reality. So what we're doing now is we're taking the plan from 2005 and we were updating it. We're looking at what kinds of things have we accomplished that we can remove from the plan, what kinds of things do we still need to do and the community still values, and what kinds of new ideas do we need to add to the plan that we weren't considering back in 2005. So for example, flooding is a major problem for Portsmouth citizens, and it's not really addressed in the current comprehensive plan. So that's going to be something that we really focus on in the new plan to try to make sure people can do basic things like get in and out of their neighborhood, get to and from work.
Yeah. So 12 years ago, flooding was not as much of a priority.
It was not, no.
And so as you are trying to update this plan, you're asking for input from the cities?
Yes.
From citizens?
Yes.
In what way?
So First, the easiest way is to please check out our website, buildoneportsmouth.org. We actually still have a public input process that's open for people to participate in online. You can go in and you can vote on the value statements that we've come up with and the options for the vision statement. There's also a mapping exercise that people can fill out where they tell us which parts of the city do you think that we should be prioritizing and what should we be doing there based on a couple of categories that we have. That is for this step in the process. We are going to be entering a new phase very soon, and we're going to be having our next public input opportunity hopefully sometime in September after everyone has gone back to school and people's schedules have kind of settled back down again, and they can plan accordingly for when they can get out and visit with us.
So let me take us back for just a minute before we really get into the plan itself. Lisa, why is there such a disconnect between the way that people who live in Portsmouth feel about the city versus people who are outside of the city and their perceptions?
Right.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think the disconnect comes from, if you weren't born here, you don't really, value what the city of Portsmouth can offer. And I'm a resident, was born here and lived here for the majority of my life, only lived in Virginia Beach for a short period of time when I was married with my husband, 12 years. But, I came back to Portsmouth because I wanted to make a difference in what, our city could be and the potential that we have is untapped potential because we have rich history and we have our waterfront and we have, so many things that we can do, and I think that, we've been pretty much a dumping ground and, we've gotten, some bad image and some bad, name labeling. But, I think that we can be as vibrant and as, economically, thriving as any other city, but we just need a little bit of help
to get there.
Right.
Davy, what do you think?
Kind of just second what she says. I went away to college, came to Norfolk for a few years, born and raised in Portsmouth. I grew up in Jeffrey Wilson, and I made it out.
Yeah.
I was there when it was Project Drive.
Right.
And I went back home, after school, living in Chesapeake for a little while. And I decided to get involved and say, hey, man, I need to get on one of these boards of commissions. And from that point on, it started off with the Mayor's Commission with Persons with Disabilities and then ADA. And then next thing you know, I got picked for EDA and then got bumped to planning. And from there on, I saw the vision. And like Lisa said, we have so much rich history in our city, even with all of this function we had. Most people don't know the Underground Railroad is really in Portsmouth, Virginia at the AME Church. Right. They sealed it off in 1860-something. It's still there. I said, we need to unseal that thing and make that part of tourism.
Absolutely.
So, like she said, that perception, everybody always send out bad stuff. Even when I was in college, people would hear me say Portsmouth and they draw back from me. Mm-hmm. But I'm a gentle giant like anybody else.
Yes.
Portsmouth have a lot of good stock in it.
Yes.
We also have some sound from some residents of Portsmouth and how they feel about it. Let's take a listen.
What I love about Portsmouth is the fact that they have a lot of rich, stable neighborhoods. Lots of culture here, lots of heritage, but more than that, some really hard-working people, who put in the good day's work and really enjoy moving this city forward.
Portsmouth is such a diverse city. I love the history. I think that a lot of people in the community, actually a lot of people in the United States, don't realize the importance of Portsmouth from way back to the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, everything. The history here is unique and it's real. I'm an architect. I love buildings. So the building stock in Portsmouth is amazing and undervalued and underrepresented.
We are located right in the center of Hampton Roads, so that gives us a lot of opportunities.
Since the city is so geographically positioned in the middle of Hampton Roads as a region, we feel like there's a lot of opportunity to enhance, of course, our already existing corridors.
There is tremendous opportunity for our ports, the Portsmouth Marine Terminal.
I think the greatest opportunity is to maximize the historical value, make it a destination that you want to go see because of the historic value, and also a place that you could live in and enjoy that history as well.
Brian, you hear the excitement in people's voices.
I wish people outside of Portsmouth could accompany me to the various meetings and events that I've gone to where I've spoken with people in Portsmouth. I myself live in Norfolk, and so I didn't have the history of Portsmouth that, say, Councilwoman did or that Davy did. But you go to these meetings, and the pride just exudes from these people. They are so proud of their city. They have such an attachment. There's that anecdotal part of speaking to people. There's the scientific demographic research that we've done where we found that, over 20% of the city has lived in Portsmouth for over 20 years,
Right.
more than any
There's
other.
longevity.
People like David said, they leave, and they want to come back. We have a lot of people and staff who've gone off to college somewhere. They've come back to Portsmouth because there's such a love for the city, and it makes it so much easier and so much more enjoyable and so much more motivating for staff when you go out and you have such willing partners who want to be involved, who want to have their voices be heard, who want to check up on you afterwards to make sure that the stuff that they said, that it's being incorporated, and that it's a really powerful message for staff in working on this project.
So I have a question because I was just curious. The title of this revision is Build One Portsmouth. So does that title indicate that there's two Portsmouths? There more than one Portsmouth at this point in time, Lisa?
Yeah, well, I would say that people thought that maybe there was two Portsmouths, and I think that with our new council that was just elected in 2016, I being one, and my co-partner, my colleague, Nathan Clark, and then, of course, with the returning of Ms. Simmons to the council, it brought us that meshing of people that we need to show that, hey, we all want the same things for our city. We all want education, and we want our public safety to be strong, and we want our economic development to thrive, which is where I served for the past 6 years on the Economic Development Authority. And so I saw, developers wanting to come here and do business. So, need to people to understand that we have what other cities have. We just need a little bit of help in getting it, developed. And I think that we have the great partnership with our planning commission and with our Build One Portsmouth partners who are coming to show us the potential that we have to capitalize on. A lot of people tell me that hey, when I visit Portsmouth or when I come to Portsmouth, I see it like Alexandra, and why don't you all do what's done there? And that's exactly the vision that I have. Our ports and our downtown waterfront needs to be built up so that we complement our sister city over in Norfolk. Have Waterside Live. We should be Portside Live, and it's maybe not as big because we don't have the citizen, the population, to help with that. But do what we have and begin, somewhere and to show people inside of the city that we have something that they want to see.
Mm-hmm. Brian, you had the same perception? I'm just curious about the title because I was just wondering, because before in 2005 it was Destination 2025, and so to me titles are important in terms of what they're saying about where people are mindset.
So the Destination 2025, I believe, this is a little bit before my time, but I believe that was kind of a popular name in comprehensive plans. And if you go and you look at some other cities around the country, they'll have, say, Destination Kansas City or so on. Build One Portsmouth, like the councilwoman said, I think partly it did come out of the perception that maybe we in the city were not always working together, and so that this name would help to tell the public that we as staff, we are trying to build those bridges again. We want to rebuild that sense of trust so that the people, the citizens of Portsmouth know that we are trying to work for you. As I've said when I've gone to these public meetings, this is not about staff coming out and telling you what Portsmouth should look like. This is about you telling us what you want Portsmouth to look like, and then we try to figure out how to make that happen. So, yeah, it's about working together. It's about realizing that if we don't work together, we are not going to be able to get as far as we can if we're all working separately.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240 are the numbers to call to join our conversation. Do you live in Portsmouth? What do you think about your city? What are you looking forward to in terms of the future? 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. So, Davy, it's critical that you all hear from every aspect or every corner of the city, if you will. And so you have these outreach groups, I understand. How are you all ensuring that everybody's voice is at the table?
Well, just piggybacking off what Brian said, we set up some things at the TCC campuses. We had one at Churchland High School, if I'm not mistaken, where the citizens can come out and their input can, they can have input. Every from the business owner to the person that works the blue collar to the person that works the white collar, that we all can sit down at the table, and we want to know what's on your mind, what you want to see in your city. And what I seen at TCC when I was there, because I attended it myself, it was incredible. Just seeing it from a planning view, but also as a citizen's point of view, and saying, hey, you have input too. Your voice matters. And that's why I love when they came with the concept, Build One Portsmouth. Just like with me, I'm always coming up with acronyms and hashtags. Now I'm about to make a T-shirt, BOP, Build One Portsmouth. You know, so just always thinking that way because I want to engage those millennials and those young people.
Well, that was one of the questions I was going to have for you too, because in looking on the website, I noticed that in the videos, it seemed like there were a lot of mature people.
Yes, ma'am.
And not a lot of young people, not a lot of millennials. And so I'm wondering what you all are doing to make sure, because they're going to be the ones who live the reality, if you will. So I'll start with you, Lisa, and I'll go to you, Brian.
Okay. I mean, I think the millennials, I think they are keenly aware of what we're doing, and I think they're just taking a back seat and seeing, how the ship is going to be driven. But they are communicating, and they may not have been visible in the meetings, but they are speaking in our ear, and they're speaking, at meetings, and they're, sending texts and sending information. So they're engaged, not to the level that we would want them to be. But, it was interesting when we had the meetings, because I attended the one at TCC as well, and the mapping process. I think everyone loved that, with the dots where they wanted to put where they thought, we could be best, or where we needed to build up first, or where we needed to focus our energy. And it was, I enjoyed that people didn't take, my neighborhood, me, do my stuff first. We all keenly, focused in on our downtown, on our waterfront, and our parks, and some of the neighborhoods that were flooding. So, we all, remove self and put city in first. And I think when we do that, we will be one, and then we will move ahead.
But what about the people who don't have access, or couldn't get to TCC, or couldn't, may not know that they could go online and so forth? Brian, how are you reaching them?
We've done a couple of different things. First, like you said, the public input process, for us, has been the most important thing that we can do as we update this plan, because if we aren't getting a representative sample of city citizens, then we are not working towards a vision that is truly representative of what the people of Portsmouth want. So we said at the beginning that we can't just do the same old thing where you have a couple of meetings and you go and you hope that people show up. We need to go to where people are. So we've been going to events and soliciting input. So the Elizabeth River Project's event at the new park, back in November, we were there. We've gone to the art festivals. We've gone to the flea markets. We've gone to churches. We've talked to schools.
NAACP, you came to our events.
We've gone. We've talked with the NAACP. We've gone to speak with the chamber. We've anywhere that people have said, "Hey, can you come and speak to us?" We will go speak to you. So the videos, for example, it's a good way of showing that we can bring a large group of people together, but those aren't the only places that we're going. We also, have the online component for young people, because, frankly, they don't have the time. If you're like myself, if you've got young children, an hour-long public meeting isn't a place for me to leave my girls. So we are trying to offer a lot of different options and opportunities for people to give input. We're also, when we can, we're tracking the demographic information anonymously from what people are self-reporting, so that we have an idea, are there certain people that we're missing? Are we missing young people? Are we missing old people? Are we missing African Americans? Are we missing Latinos? Are we missing rich people? Are we missing poor people? We're trying to do that so that at each stage in the process, we can change our strategy as necessary, so that we can find those people who we weren't talking to before. So again, like I said, we can get that full and complete picture of what people of Portsmouth want.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Have you participated in one of the outreach activities? Have you given your thoughts to the group on what you would like to see as for the future of Portsmouth? Give us a call, 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. So 2005, you had a plan, and it is now 2017. What progress has been made? Who wants to take that one up? Brian, I'm looking at you.
Sure. We actually have a report on the buildoneportsmouth.org website where we've gone back and we've looked at everything that the 2005 plan had laid out for what we were trying to accomplish and what we did actually accomplish. And, counting, each step as one and giving a percentage isn't necessarily totally reflective. But I want to say we accomplished something like half of the objectives that we had in the plan. So that could include things like the Martin Luther King connector, the TCC building on Victory Boulevard, the support for the new Midtown Tunnel Tube. Those were examples of large projects that we were planning for. Yes,
Kroger Marketplace.
Yeah, and that entire Frederick Boulevard corridor. Those are examples of larger projects that we had there.
Seaboard Square. Things of that nature, bringing in that new housing. And I know you can understand that, Ms. Barbara. You understand that very well when it comes to economic development, working along with PRHA and planning, and those three major bodies, along with council, got to work together. And, you know, I say it all the time. I use this learn, grow, change. And that's what Portsmouth, that's what we're doing. Right. We're going to learn, we're going to grow, we're going to change. We have to. We have to continue to grow.
And we're seeing that in our downtown area right now. We're experiencing a residential boom in the downtown with hundreds of new apartment units open and hundreds more planned and on the way. And so, and that's again a product of the comprehensive plan of laying those long-term growth strategies, putting those in place, so you create the environment where you can bring in new residents or new businesses.
What about education?
Oh, education. I mean, that's strong on our list, you know, because, you know, when people look at our city as a place that they want to come and move and raise their kids, they want to make sure that the school system is strong. You know, they want to make sure that we have, you know, good educators, and that we're funding programs that is going to help them to have that leading edge on technology, science, engineering, math, you know, that they will need to be productive citizens to go out and to achieve, you know, a great job. So, you know, that definitely is part of the comprehensive plan too, making sure is that, you know, our capital improvement supports our schools, and that we're taking a good look at the school systems that are in communities, and you know, adjusting where we need to, you know, so.
And if you go back and if you look at the original or the current comprehensive plan from 2005, that's a great example of staff listening to what citizens want when it came to education. Staff wasn't expecting that people were going to come out and talk as heavily on schools as they did. And that's what we kept hearing over and over and over again. So there's actually a lot more about education in the Portsmouth Comprehensive Plan than what you would normally find in other cities, because that was on the forefront of people's mind. So we know that we need to keep that in the current plan. We've been working with Dr. Bracey and the school system to try to make sure that they're happy with what we're doing, that we are including and building off of things that they are doing and not trying to tell them what to do. And then, you know, find the areas that we can work around schools. So whether it's building up neighborhoods, you know, maybe we need to improve infrastructure so kids can more safely get to school, you know, things like that. So doing the things like that we can on the periphery, as well as working with schools.
So what do people, go ahead.
And also, just to say with education, I remember we approved the Simonsdale School, which is a green school. And that's also a part of that comprehensive plan. We're starting to do more things. You see that renewable energy, and you see the green, like the rooftops and things of that nature, have the greenery, and it helps the building, and they get some type of special stuff when it comes to renewable energies and things like that. It makes it green, makes it a green building.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Call us. Are you surprised at the progress that you're hearing about the city of Portsmouth? You know, I mean, I'm thrilled to be able to sit here and hear you all talk about some of the things that are going on in the city, because I think a lot of people just still have an old perception of the town, and things are really changing. And if you're just joining us, we're talking about the visioning plan for the city of Portsmouth with Councilwoman Lisa Lucas-Burke, Project Manager Brian Swets, and founder of Smith Consulting and Networking LLC, Davy Smith III. Lisa, do we have a call? Yes, we do. Mickey. Hi, Mickey. You're on the air.
Hi, Barbara. I just want to know if there's any plans for helping people that live in Portsmouth on the water or in flood areas. When we first moved to our house in 2001, we were not in a flood zone, and the city and the federal government, they redid the flood maps, and now we're in flood zone AE, and it's very expensive. Our mortgage payment has gone up almost $400 a month because of that. And we need help. And I've talked to people in city government, and they said that they are not going to apply for FEMA grant money because it's too cumbersome. And so I was just wondering if there's any plans to help us folks that live on the water, because I love the city. When my husband proposed to me, he said, "You know what this means?" And I'm like, "No, what?" And he goes, "You have to live in Portsmouth." And I was like, I'm all for that.
Mickey, thanks so much. But let me ask you one quick question, Mickey. Have you participated in any of the outreach activities?
No, I quite frankly, I'm just learning about this now on your program, and I do work full time, and I'm very busy. But no, I haven't. I don't really know what time and where they are.
You do have the opportunity to go online to One Portsmouth.
buildoneportsmouth.org. If you wouldn't mind, if you go on there, you can leave your email address. We'll put you on our email list so that we can let you know when the next public meeting will be. And we've been trying to do some during the day and at night so that people who work have the opportunity to come after work.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mickey, for the call. We appreciate that. Has flooding come up in the discussions?
Everywhere.
Yes.
We partnered with the Virginia Modeling, Analysis, and Simulation Center out of ODU a couple of years ago to start getting a baseline understanding of what people in Portsmouth were going through, and to kind of put Mickey's problem in perspective. Something like 40% of people in Portsmouth had been flooded to the extent they couldn't get in or out of their neighborhood in the previous 30 days from when we did this telephone survey. So we know that this is a major, major problem in our city. It affects people getting in and out. The Naval Hospital and the shipyard, two of our biggest employers, the gates flood, and it's hard for people to get in and out if we get torrential rains, and those are happening more frequently. So when we put out our request for proposals to sign a consulting team for this project, one of the top concerns that we made sure that people had to understand was we need to address flooding, and we need to think about how do we introduce this concept of resiliency into our plan, this idea that we can plan for disasters and setbacks. If they happen, we learn from them, we adapt to them, we make changes, and we try to keep continuously improving ourselves. So we're in the process right now of drafting an outline of the plan. We're hoping to have that released in July, and we were hoping that for people like Mickey, we'll have things on there, policy proposals, things that the city can do to try to improve her situation.
440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Gary joins us from Portsmouth. Hi, Gary. You're on the air.
Hey, how's it going?
All righty.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
A question. Currently, the Civic League in Cabinet Manor has implemented an initiative called Eco Districts. And Eco Districts comes out of Portland, Oregon, and has been implemented successfully around the country. There are 10 target cities. I led the initiative in Atlanta, but there's Portland, New York, Chicago, etc. So we're bringing that to the neighborhood level in Cabinet Manor. Been underway for several months now. How will initiatives like Eco Districts being implemented at the neighborhood level in communities be aligned with the One Portsmouth plan? Eco Districts itself requires that alignment, such that we're working in harmony and synergy as well.
Okay, Gary. We'll ask our panel, have you participated in any of the community outreach efforts in terms of getting your ideas and so forth?
Funny you should ask that. I was sitting here, and I was the first voice that you played back of President talking. So I go, whoa, hey,
that's me.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're glad you called in, Gary. Thanks so much. Brian, you want to answer his question?
I would love to. So it's funny that was a question. Councilwoman Lucas-Burke and I were talking about this before we went on the air, that one of the things that we're looking at as staff is making sure that we are working with neighborhoods on these smaller projects, because we can't sit and hope that $100 million drops out of the sky and we can all of a sudden do everything on our bucket list of things we would like to do. The other part is that this is an update and not just a rebuild of the plan. So we want to build on things that we are already planning to do or things that are in the process of being done. So I need to go back and look through our contact information. Hopefully I can get in touch with Gary directly so that we can make sure that what we are doing in the comp plan aligns with what the Cavalier Manor neighborhood wants to do with their own community.
Right. And Cavalier Manor is my home area. So that is my civic league, and I think I've met Gary before with the eco districts, and it's something that's exciting, and it's something that we need, and I'm proud that my neighborhood is taking the lead on.
Can you explain it a little bit in terms of what it involves?
The eco, I guess, making our communities more friendly with the environmental, just like Davy spoke about with the schools, the green schools, and just making sure that we use our power and our resources in the appropriate way to help aid our city and our nation, as a whole. So I would be interested in finding out more about that as well, and see how we can implement that, not just in Kevlar Manor, but across the whole city of Portsmouth.
So what other things have you heard from residents in terms of what they are looking for the vision for the future of Portsmouth?
Well, what I've been hearing about a lot, of course, is what we're going to do with the waterfront.
That's it.
What we're going to do with the waterfront. High Street is beautiful. What we're going to do with waterfront. And all I say to them, and I'm honest with them, I say, yeah, trust me, we're working on it. We're paying attention. We are working on it. And we're listening to y'all. We are listening. And like Lisa said, that vibrant, y'all sending from over from Norfolk, we want that transfer of energy back and forth across the Elizabeth.
Mm-hmm.
And
how involved is Portsmouth in terms of the whole regionalism and being involved with the other cities?
Well, we just elected a great mayor, John Rowe, and he is attached and connected with all of the right people at the state level and at the congressional level in D.C. And, we're getting some good conversations back. People. Portsmouth, has always been on the map, but, they need to know that we have some players who know how to get the work done.
That's right.
So we are a regional team player. We attend the Hampton Roads Transportation meetings, by way of our mayor being the contact person, the liaison who attend those meetings. So they know that at the table, hey, we don't want to be the redhead stepchild that gets ignored and gets dumped on at all times. And whether our tolls are an issue, or whether our waterfront and our jails, are an issue, we want people to know that we want to change from where we were and move in a new direction. And I think Build One Portsmouth is going to help us to do that.
Yes.
So has anything surprised you, Brian?
Well, as I said before, the most surprising part of it was the level of pride, which is not to say that people should not be proud of being from Portsmouth, but how front and center it was to everyone's experience of life in Portsmouth. That to me was eye-opening, and like I said, it was really inspirational.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised when you say that a lot of people are talking about the waterfront, and I get, why they would want that. It surprises me, though, that people weren't saying food deserts, my neighborhood, it was really outward as opposed to being selfish, if you will.
Exactly. And that's what I saw, that people really wanted to focus on what would bring that tourism, because that tourism and that marketing is what's going to attract people to this area. And, we've all visited Maryland and the Inner Harbor and all of that. And that's what I envision, for Portsmouth.
Exactly.
Bring a big Ferris wheel and the kids are going to say, Ma, can we go? So we need some excitement, some synergy, some energy, some amusement, some kind of attraction that's going to, make them to at least want to come over and take a look. And then that's when we get that hook. And that's when we tell them that, there's so much more to do and see in Portsmouth.
Yes. You mentioned surprising. I'm always surprised how many people have not been to downtown Portsmouth, because this is my personal preference. I like, the downtown Portsmouth and the Ghent scene. I like where it's more organic, it's more local, it's more pedestrian friendly.
Right.
And downtown Portsmouth has that. The Commodore Theater, for me, is the best theater that you can watch a movie in Hampton Roads, bar none. You've got interesting and unique bars and restaurants. You've got very easy access to the water. We're opening, Legend is opening a new brewery very soon, right at the ferry stop coming over from Norfolk. Excuse me. We have a micro distillery opening up. We have a new wine store opening up. I mean, the scene down there is incredible. And then one block over, you have Old Town with incredible architecture and history and tourist attractions. And so I'm always surprised when I talk to people who say, I've never been up. How have you not been there? It's not far. I mean, you
get
can
on the
see
ferry
it.
and come on over.
You can see it right from here.
And the ferry ride is a lot of fun.
It is.
It really is. 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. Call us and tell us what you love about Portsmouth. Judy joins us from Portsmouth. Hi, Judy. You're on the air.
Hi. Thank you for having this program today.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'm from the Simonsdale neighborhood, so I just wanted to compliment the school is beautiful. The recreation complex that is next door to that it's just a wonderful setting, and just wanted to say that's great. My concern about the city is the business district. I'm glad to see the housing that's coming and have toured some of the newer available housing in downtown. And I heard your comments about the new businesses that are coming, but that's probably the biggest concern is if there's not an integration with the business life and the resident life, they affect each other so much. I just wanted to make that comment and hear any more information about building up the business community in downtown Portsmouth.
Okay, thank you, Judy, for your call. Brian, you want to take that one?
Sure. One of the things that we're looking at to improve business life may sound like we're getting things out of order, but is focusing right now on increasing and improving the residential sector in downtown Portsmouth, because if you can get people to live there, they're going to be more likely to want to work there, because then you can walk. It's easy. You've got, on your walk home, you can stop at a grocery store, you can stop at a pharmacy, you can stop at a happy hour, things like that. So in the short term, we're trying to get more rooftops. In the medium and long term, we hope that will bring more jobs. Now that's just into downtown Portsmouth. We have to remember that Portsmouth is more than just downtown. So our economic development department, for example, and Councilwoman Lucas-Burke can speak this through her experience on the Economic Development Authority, works tirelessly to try to bring in, say, more industrial development to tie into our port facilities and to capitalize on that kind of economic effort. So we have the short term and the long term that we're thinking about, but I can promise you that this is something that is a major focus in our plan. We've had the Economic Development Department in at every stage here in an attempt to make sure that the plan is realistic. It's very easy for planners to just paint a pretty watercolor picture of what things should look like, but we want this plan to be realistic. We don't want to get people's hopes up and say that we're going to promise them something that we can't actually deliver. So in jobs, going back to one of your questions before, jobs is one of the things that we hear from people all the time. So that I can promise you that's a focus of ours.
I would imagine that people who envision One Portsmouth also envision no tolls.
They do. They do. And if we had a magic wand and make it go away today, we would do that. And that's been a continuous battle that we've had. But we've had some great milestones with that, with Governor Terry McAuliffe coming down this year and doing, the toll mitigation, bringing the toll relief to persons with, certain incomes at a certain level where they get a toll relief, at a certain number of times that they go through the toll. So that would help a little bit. We would all like to see it go away, but, it's going to continue to be some work. But I think if we have the right people in the right places that keep seeing that Portsmouth is not going away and that we're going to keep advocating for our citizens and ourselves, to have better options, and I would like to see just, if you're Portsmouth Norfolk residents, to get, some additional kind of relief, but that's something that can be discussed at a later date. But with the economic development, we do have a great partnership with our economic development partners. Mallory Butler is the executive director there, and they do an extreme, a wonderful job of trying to attract new businesses. And they have something called a business incentive, where if people are interested in opening a business or starting a new business in the downtown corridors, that they would get some kind of incentives. We have a interior build out program where we would go in and do matching funds, for them to come in and look at some available properties and to begin their business. We also have the outside exterior, the looks to help with signs and things like that. So there's plenty of opportunities that are available for people who are interested in starting businesses.
Market tax credits, a lot of things the Economic Development Authority has out there.
And as since I'm chair of Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing, and I know that you're now chair of Portsmouth, in terms of affordable housing, low-income housing, public housing, where does that play in terms of what the future may look like?
Well, you heard about some of those past projects that we spoke on. Westbury is one of the first ones, the Hope 6 grant. And then the other part of that was Seaboard Square. And I believe the other voucher program is, it's not, is
Chelsea
it,
Place?
is it, what's the name of it?
Hamilton Place.
Hamilton Place. That's it, right there on Turnpike Road.
Right.
That's another section of ours. And we're fixing up right now. I know Phoebe Square's for the seniors. And then we have Effingham Plaza, and that's like a public-private partnership, I believe that is, and they're fixing it up right now. So
So
those
are
are some of the
public-private, and as you look at the future, will public-private partnerships, Brian, be a major way to help pay for some of these changes that citizens are looking for?
I think the use of a public-private partnership will be a little bit more of a policy issue that I'll defer to the councilwoman for. But
P3.
but for housing, this is a really good point, because we know from looking at our housing stock, it's much older than in other surrounding cities. It tends to be smaller and not as updated, and so we are actively trying to figure out what kind of policies and plans can we put in place in the Build One Portsmouth update to try to get that more modern housing stock that would attract families. We know that we have a growing population of millennials, but that when they start getting into the age where they have children, the children go to school, they start moving out, and we think that part of the reason why they do that is because the housing just isn't there for them. You know, it's much easier to go to, say, Suffolk or Western Branch and find larger, more suburban style housing. And so we need to figure out, how do we keep those people in Portsmouth so that they become, lifelong residents. They buy into the city, they're actively involved in their neighborhoods or in local government. That's how you build that synergy to keep building on what we're trying to start here.
Okay, John joins us from Norfolk. Hi, John. You're on the air.
TGIF, everyone. Very nice program, Barbara. Finally, thank you. It's very informative, very inspiring, great panel, a lot of good information. And let me tell you, I call Portsmouth my second home.
Oh, nice.
Back and forth from Norfolk, and everything that's happening in Portsmouth really inspires me. From Victory Crossing, wow, that's a beehive.
Yes.
And then it just trickles into Village, Portsmouth Village. That's what we call downtown now. The Old Town Business Association, the Old Town Art Administration, et cetera. It's called it a village, and it's perfect because it's walkable, and they got the wine shop opening, they got the Commodore, and there's so many restaurants. I can't get over that.
You guys need to hire John to be your PR.
And over in Norfolk, I hang out at the Chrysler Museum. And I bump into young millennials.
Yeah.
I'm getting over boomer. And I asked them, how's it going? How do you get around? And they actually used a ferry from downtown Portsmouth. They found it easier on their lifestyle to live in downtown, Old Town Portsmouth, and ferry to their jobs in downtown Norfolk. And once the 5 o'clock hits, they're back over in Portsmouth, whining and dining. They don't have to drive.
Right.
They say they really, really have a stress-free lifestyle that way.
Absolutely.
And that needs to be promoted more. And the ferry is naked of information.
Okay, John, thanks so much for the call. We appreciate that. So the ferry is
The ferry
is a big
is
deal.
awesome. It
Davy?
John just gave us a segue, Councilwoman.
Yes.
When we build that waterfront, the hours are going to change to the ferry.
That's it.
Mark my word right now.
I already know it.
The ferry hours are going to change. You watch.
So that they can accommodate bringing people back and forth.
You'll probably see
from
taxi
waterside.
cabs and everything on the water going across the water there.
Or add in a taxi Uber.
That's right. Hello.
There we go.
So what happens next? Where are we going from after we've gotten all the comments from the citizens and so forth? What's the next step, Brian?
Okay, so we have just entered into phase 3 of a 5-phase project. We're aiming to be done, actually, about a year from now. We're aiming to have this adopted in June of 2018. During this frame, we are creating the outline for the plan. So we've spent about a year getting our consultant team familiar with the city, meeting with stakeholders, hearing what it is that people love about Portsmouth, what do they think are our greatest opportunities, what are the values and the vision that we need to build a plan on. Now we take that and we infuse it into the policy structure of what plans and policies do we need to adopt or move forward with over the next 20, 30 years to try to make that vision a reality. So, as I said earlier, we're hoping to have the plan outline posted on the website sometime in July, and then we will spend, from July through September, October, maybe even early November, again, going out and speaking with groups and obtaining direct feedback for what people like and don't like about the outline. And then we'll take that feedback and use that to make updates, bring it back to the public, make sure they're okay with that. Then we start filling in with the narrative, with the pictures, with the maps. We bring it to the Virginia Department of Transportation because they actually have to sign off on it, as does the Hampton Roads Planning District Commission, to make sure that we're looking at resiliency in the correct way. And then ultimately we bring it to Planning Commission and to City Council for final approval.
And Lisa, once it gets to City Council and you guys approve it, does it go on the shelf, or are you really going to be working on it?
I think I want this to be an active document. I don't want it to be just something that's gaining dust. I would like for us to review it, maybe quarterly to make sure that we're still on track with it. And I think that the team that we have would be amenable to those ideas and continually meeting with Brian and his team. And I know that Delcino Miles played some part in that as well. Whoever the partners are, we want to stay engaged so that it becomes an active living, document.
Okay, so we got about a minute and a half left. Tell us again, if you haven't had a chance to give your input, where do they go?
Please go to buildoneportsmouth.org, and there's still public input and a public input opportunity up online that you can participate in. Also, my phone number and my email are on there. Please contact me directly, and I'll be happy to come out and speak to any group that you would like to get your feedback, so you don't have to come to the meeting if you're busy, if you've got kids. We understand that. We want to do everything that we can to hear from as wide of a group of people as we can, so that we make sure that we are accurately representing what Portsmouth wants as a community.
Okay, that's Brian Swets. He's the project manager for Build One Portsmouth. Absolutely. Just encouragement to people in about 30 seconds. Why should they get involved?
They should get involved because Portsmouth is a great place to live, to play, and to work. And once they see what's happening on the other side of the water, they're going to want to be a part of Portsmouth.
Okay, that is Councilwoman Lisa Lucas-Burke. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Barbara.
And Davy Smith III, you have the last word of encouragement.
Hey, just stay fired up in Portsmouth. Get enthused. Get ready. We're going to continue to learn. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to change. Build One Portsmouth. BOP, young people. BOP.
There we go.
Let's go.
Okay, that is Davy Smith III. He is the founder of Smith Consulting and Networking, LLC. Wishing you all the very, very best. And we'll be updating as we go along, and we'll be right back.
I'm with Marcellus, and you all are checking out Another View. Don't go anywhere. Check us out.
Thank you, Wynton Marcellus. We appreciate that. For 47 years, John Hatcher has served the citizens of Portsmouth, addressing everything from housing to hunger. Now the executive director of Portsmouth's Wesley Community Center is ready to hand over the reins to someone else, but not before being recognized as Portsmouth's first citizen. He spoke with our Lisa Godley about his nearly 5 decades of service.
John Hatcher doesn't really like being in the limelight, but the executive director of Portsmouth's Wesley Community Center doesn't hold back when asked how he identifies himself.
A lifelong Portsmouthian.
John has been at the Wesley Community Service Center for close to 50 years and at the helm for the majority of that time. He's seen the center's direction and the needs of the people change.
When I came to work, the board of directors at the time was working on housing issues as deteriorated housing was being considered for demolition.
John says it was his job to determine where the people who were being displaced were going. That way, his board could address City Council with numbers and situations they needed to address.
And so we at least got the needs and issues that confronted folk in inner city and Southside Portsmouth on the table for their consideration. As a result, there was some new development in the community, some housing that was provided through special programs of the federal government, Southside Gardens, the Effingham Plaza complex, and other kinds of housing development projects were established.
John says as times changed, so did the urgent and unmet needs of the people.
We've begun to look at healthcare issues. We've begun to look at other urgent needs, food, jobs, employment, kind of a combination. It caused the Wesley Center and the people in the neighborhood to focus on all of the issues that related to folk who have been marginalized or disadvantaged.
His memories are many, but a few stand out.
I'm remembering a family in Portsmouth that we served, the Lamb family. There was a mother and 5 children, and these children came to the center on a daily basis for activities. And I can remember Colonel Tim Lamb, who even to this day tells the story of failing public schools a couple of times and becoming frustrated with himself and thinking that he would not achieve any higher level of learning, as it were, and how he credits the community center. And his brother would come to the center every day and play basketball on a dilapidated basketball goal that we had in the yard. And both Tim and Rolando became an athletic standout playing professional ball in this country. And Tim became a colonel in the United States Army with 3 master's degrees. Both of these boys crediting the community center and the United Methodist Church, to which the community center is related.
Today, the Wesley Community Service Center provides an array of programs to meet needs ranging from socialization to financial assistance. And when John thinks of the people who've come through their doors and the help they've been able to give, he smiles.
We have a couple of doors that we transferred from a former location, and on those doors is inscribed the names of thousands of individuals who have come through our doors. And now as folk come back to the center on a regular basis to kind of view their names and bring their children and grandchildren to see the names of the individuals who have come through the community center and received services. So it's those kinds of memories that inspire and have inspired me.
Portsmouth's first citizen 2016 says he'll continue on for another year at the most, and then he'll move on to pursue his next chapter.
I enjoy history. I kind of envision writing or expanding the history of the community center and also my church. I'd like to work on updating the history of both of those institutions.
And John Hatcher, we wish you well. For Another View, I'm Lisa Godley.
And John Hatcher, congratulations. John is the husband of Myrtle Hatcher, who is my former pastor and who married me. So there we go. Everything comes full circle. And that's our program for today. If you'd like to hear this show again or share it with a friend, please visit our website, anotherviewradio.org, and download the podcast. While you are there, sign up for our eView newsletter. It's a once-a-week reminder of upcoming shows. We're on Facebook, so like us, and I'm on Twitter at Barbara Ham Lee. Next time on Another View, cardiologist Dr. Keith Newby and I will talk with former NFL player turned philanthropist, entrepreneur, and passionate advocate for healthy eating and active lifestyles. His name is Daryl Haley, and he's going to talk to us about his quest to help all of us become stronger in mind, body, and soul. Our theme music was composed and performed by Jay Sennett. Lisa Godley is our show producer. Victor Bowen is our audio engineer, and Trey Watson answered our phones. I'm Barbara Ham Lee. Thanks so very much for listening to Another View.